Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. Ben-Hur is one of those films that reminds you what scale used to mean in cinema. Not scale as spectacle alone, but scale as commitment to storytelling, to craftsmanship, to emotional endurance. Watching it in 4K Steelbook form today doesn't feel like revisiting an old epic, it feels like restoring something monumental to its intended presence. At the heart of the film is Judah Ben-Hur, a man shaped by betrayal. Now, what begins as a story of friendship fractured by politics becomes a journey through slavery, humiliation, revenge, and ultimately redemption. But what makes Ben-Hur endure is not the famous chariot race, as iconic as it is, but the emotional architecture surrounding it. Every spectacle is anchored to personal cost. Charlton Heston's performance carries the weight of that transformation. His Ben-Hur is not impulsively heroic. He is proud, wounded, and gradually hardened by injustice. The betrayal by Messala isn't just a political, it's intimate. And that intimacy makes the later confrontation resonate. Their conflict embodies more than rivalry. It reflects how power reshapes loyalty and identity. The film's pacing is deliberate. William Wyler does not rush Judah's descent into suffering. The galley-shaped sequence, for example, is staged with oppressive tension. The rhythm of the oars, the execution of the men, the cold discipline of command. Now, these moments immerse you in endurance. They remind you that epic storytelling is built on patience. And then there is the chariot race. Even decades later, it commands attention. There is no overcutting, no digital enhancement, no frantic camera movement. But the tension builds through choreography and clarity. You understand where everyone is. You feel the danger because the action is tangible. In 4K, the dust, the sweat, the strain on the horses all gain renewed texture. The detail doesn't modernize the scene, it intensifies its realism. Beyond spectacle, Ben-Hur is ultimately about spiritual reckoning. Revenge drives Judah forward, but it does not fulfill him. The film subtly interviews the story of Christ, not as dominance, but as contrast. Mercy stands beside vengeance. Compassion stands beside pride. The narrative invites the audience to consider what true strength really means. Visually, the 4K restoration elevates the film's grandeur. The Roman sets, the layered costumes, the desert landscapes, all of them feel dimensional rather than distant. The color grading preserves the warmth of the torch-lit interiors and the vastness of open skies. Shadows retain depth, faces carry nuance. This clarity reminds you how much practical craftsmanship went into every frame. Now, the sound design, though rooted in its era, benefits from the restoration as well. Miklos Rosaza's scores fill the space with orchestral authority. It doesn't overwhelm, it guides. Themes of triumph and sorrow are woven carefully through the narrative, reinforcing emotional shifts without dictating them. The supporting cast also deserves recognition. Stephen Boyd's Masala is not a cartoon villain, but he is an ambitious, ideological, and convinced on his own righteousness. Now, that conviction makes his cruelty believable. The dynamic between him and Ben-Hur feels tragic rather than theatrical. Two men shaped by the same upbringing, divided by political alliances. Now, what's striking is how the film balances intimacy with enormity. Massive crowd scenes coexist with quiet, reflective moments. The camera often lingers on faces, reminding us that even in an epic of this scale, it is the human emotion that drives the story. In terms of historical reception, Ben-Hur was a monumental success, both critically and commercially. It swept the Academy Awards and became a benchmark of epic filmmaking. Its legacy is not simply in awards, but in influence. Many modern epic borrows from its structure, the personal story nested within the historical upheaval. Watching it today in the 4K Steelbook form reinforces that legacy. The Steelbook packaging itself reflects the film's stature. The artwork is bold yet elegant, often featuring iconic imagery that captures both the grandeur and solemnity. It feels like a collector's piece rather than just a format upgrade. Now, that being said, the presentation really matters here, and the tactile feel of the Steelbook complements the film's permanence. If there is a critique, it lies not in execution but in expectation. Modern audiences accustomed to faster pacing may find its structure patient, even slow. But that patience is intentional. It allows transformation to feel earned. Judah does not change overnight. He is shaped by time and suffering. Now, what remains powerful is the film's final movement. When vengeance yields to mercy, it does not feel like moral preaching. In fact, it feels like a release. The story does not erase pain, it reframes it. The subtle shift is what gives Ben-Hur the emotional longevity. Ultimately, Ben-Hur in 4K Steelbook form is not just about revisiting a classic, it is about experiencing the full dimension of classic filmmaking, the practical spectacle, the moral depth, the narrative patience. It reminds us that epic cinema once meant building worlds physically, staging action tangibly, and trusting the audiences to sit with transformation. In an era of digital spectacle and rapid edits, Ben-Hur stands as a reminder that grandeur does not come from speed, it comes from commitment. And in this restored format, the commitment feels visible again, frame by frame. Now, this movie is a must watch.